sisters, three friends with three different perspectives and one goal: to start your weekend on a fun and inspiring note. I'm your host, Rico E Anderson.
I'm your host, Rachelle Henry.
And I'm your host, Sasha Kerbel.
Prepare yourselves for 60 minutes of high voltage conversation.
And get ready to supercharge your brain.
Because it's time for the Lightning Hour. And let's kick off this weekend with some Glee. Here comes our guest.
She is a television and film actress and a retired athlete. She was born and raised in California, and at a fairly young age, she got involved in strength competitions. In middle school, started track, and while attending high school, she became a champion weightlifter and was named Female Athlete of the Year. At 19 years old, she won her first arm wrestling world championship, and later on went to win 14 more.
She earned a scholarship in track, which paid her way through junior college and university. And in both, while studying, she won All-American honors in shot put. She became a state champion in 1983 and 1984 and set the national record at junior college level from 1983 to 1990. She qualified for the U.S. Olympic trials in 1988 for shot put with a throw that surpassed the qualifying mark of 55 feet 5 foot in over 6 inches. After college, she worked as a youth counselor at the Fresno County Juvenile Probation Center while continuing her involvement with sports.
Originally, she had no acting aspirations, but then she was discovered at a bodybuilding competition by Shirley Eason Carrito, known as Sky of American Gladiators. Sky urged her to audition for the Gladiators like Knights and Warriors, and she got the part, becoming one of the few female warriors.
Knights and Warriors only lasted one season, but it kicked off our guest's acting career. She started getting small roles in several television series and later in feature films, including the cult film Boondock Saints. Her first recurring role after Knights and Warriors was as a character named Dot on the popular show Married with Children. And her next break was on the kids show Lizzie McGuire as Coach Kelly, where she co-starred with Hilary Duff.
Since then, she has appeared in multiple popular shows like Nip and Tuck, Desperate Housewives, Prison Break, to name a few, and captured fans' hearts as Butch Brenda in Material Girls, also with Hilary Duff, as well as Angelica Houston.
But probably her most famous role is Coach Shannon Beiste, spoiler alert, later Sheldon, in Glee. This part brought her nominations for the Primetime Emmy Award as Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series 3 years in a row, from 2011 to 2013, and a nomination at Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Comedy Series in 2011 and 2012.
Get ready to meet this outstanding lady right here, right now.
This is Cram. I'm Dr. Wilkes.
My wife hurt her knee at a taping this morning. She's a professional wrestler.
Okay, let's have a look.
Got a partial ACL tear.
Could be. Would you press your knee against my hand, please?
Yeah, I know what it is. Let's get the show on the road. Just go get the ortho guy, okay?
She's in a lot of pain.
Okay, Dr. McNeil is on call.
Well, then call him and make it snappy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were Mr. Kwok.
Are you McNeil?
Not last time I checked.
Well, that's good. Female orthopod's a weird idea.
Female wrestler's a weird idea.
You don't approve.
No, I do. I watch you all the time. You're the death angel.
Good. Now do me a favor and go find McNeil.
I'm sure he'll be right with you.
So I'm supposed to just sit here like a nobody?
You can sit there like anybody you'd like.
Hey, I don't put up with attitude.
As well you shouldn't. Shall I draw the curtain?
Yeah.
You get injured a lot? All that wrestling stuff was fake.
I give as good as I get.
23% of all males between the ages of 18 and 35 recognize her better than Al Gore.
Al Gore went around dressed like the Grim Reaper. His numbers would shoot right up, too.
You try launching a Frankensteiner, and then some half-wit girl rolls right out from under you.
It happens more often than I'd like to admit.
How long before I get out of here?
I need to get an MRI and assess the extent of the damage, do a couple other tests, make sure there's nothing else going on in there. Any medications?
Vitamins, supplements, the usual. Oh, great. You see that, Harry? Here we go again. No, I am not taking steroids.
My wife is a very strong woman. She always has been.
In case you didn't know, steroid use is contrary to the clearly stated policy of the Intergalactic Wrestling Alliance.
Had a blood test lately?
He doesn't believe me.
I'll have someone take you up for an MRI.
Doctors are so full of crap.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I've been watching you the last almost month. You're gonna end up getting hurt because your head's somewhere else and not where it needs to be. I believe in you. You gotta believe in you. That's what matters. You gotta make that choice and do something for you. Something that'd make you proud. You can do that. You just gotta break that little piece that's holding you back. You're a fighter. That's why you're here. I see something in you. I just need you to see it.
A knife!
It's rubber. It's just a prop from West Side Story.
What the hell are you thinking? You could get expelled for this.
It doesn't matter. I'm flunking out.
You've got a record. You could get arrested for assault.
I don't care.
Well, you damn well should care.
I'm nothing! Don't you get it? I'm nothing! I'm the school joke. A failure. You don't know what it's like to be worthless, where nothing you do matters. I feel that way every day of my life. Every damn day. Do you know how many football games or concerts my mom's been to in the last 4 years? None. Not one. My dad's been AWOL since I was 10 years old, which is fine because all he ever did was tell me I was garbage. And he must be really proud of himself because that's exactly how I turned out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come here. Really? It's okay. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna...
You know, you and me, we're badasses. Nobody thinks anything hurts us, but it does. It does. It's okay. Girls, I have a confession to make. It's a really hard thing to talk about, but I feel like I owe it to you. I didn't get hit by a punching bag. I got hit by my husband.
Are you serious? Did he break his hand?
I'm sorry I lied to you about it. But nobody tells you what you're supposed to do when something like this happens. I was shocked. I was ashamed. So I made excuses for myself to make it okay. And I heard you girls say that you thought your boyfriends would never do anything to you like that. And a week ago, I would have said exactly the same thing. And I was wrong.
Cooter always seemed like such a nice guy. Yeah, I always just thought he was a big smiley doofus.
He is, most of the time. But nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors.
Are you considering pressing charges?
Yeah. And more than that, I got out of there and I moved in with my sister, and that feels really good. But you girls, you not only opened my eyes to this, you maybe even saved my life. Thank you.
What are you looking at?
Please, have some consideration. This little girl's on her way to surgery.
Oh, yeah? Well, head for the heels, kid. People die in hospitals.
Sorry about that. She's in a lot of pain.
When you got in the elevator this morning, did you notice a little girl?
Yeah.
She was on her way to surgery.
So what, she want an autograph?
She didn't give a damn about your autograph.
Who the hell do you think you are? Harry!
Forget Harry. This isn't about him, it's about you.
What are you talking about?
Let me make it clear. That little girl's life is in danger. You almost scared her to death. Do you care about anybody other than yourself?
I care.
Good. Good. I'd like to see what that looks like.
Jesse?
Who are you?
Now don't scream or anything, okay? I'm from the elevator.
Did you come to take me to heaven?
Hey. I'm not the angel of death. Just a professional wrestler with a big mouth.
I don't want another operation. They can't help me.
Why not? These doctors are smart. I'm letting them cut me open.
I just want to die.
Never say that. A lot of people love you. And when somebody loves you, well, that's the most important thing in life. And when they want you to live, you just better shut up and try to live, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dot Marie Jones.
Three-time Emmy nominee Dot Marie Jones of Glee, Material Girls, and Lizzie McGuire is with us today. Dot, I'm so happy you're with us on the Lightning Hour. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here, sweetheart. At this age, I'm glad to be anywhere.
There you go. There you go.
So how are you, and how are you holding on during this lockdown?
I'm doing okay. It's been a crazy roller coaster year altogether, even before this. But I was in the middle of a play when the lockdown happened, and it's my first New York play. I was in New York playing the first woman to play Dennis Dupree in Rock of Ages.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had 2 weeks rehearsals, and then I was supposed to have an 8-week run, and I just got a little bit over a 2-week run and then had to come home. But I'm so grateful for that experience, and I want to go do it again.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
Are you busy with any projects these days?
Actually, I am supposed to start a film September 1st. It's called Feathered, and it's a great character role, and how they're doing it now with the coronavirus, everything being locked down and stuff, is I'll have to go into isolation, get tested, go into isolation 2 weeks prior, and then 3 or 4 days prior to us starting filming is get tested again. And I'm like, test me every day. I don't care. God, I don't want to get sick, and God, I don't want to get somebody else sick. So then once we start production, it's in Southern California, we'll be in a lockdown, as in everybody will stay together that's on the production, and no outsiders can come visit or nothing for the 3 weeks of the shoot. Oh my God. Which you have to do. It's not worth chancing.
Let's take a little trip back in time here, because there's something that got a lot of fans as a result of it, and we're of course talking about Glee.
Yes, that was amazing. I was very lucky. That role was written for me, and I didn't audition for it. I had worked with Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk on Nip Tuck. I had done 3 episodes, and then I had also done a pilot for Ryan Murphy, which to me, I still think it's one of the best works I've done. And it was a pilot called Pretty Handsome. And Alexandria Billings, who was on Transparent, who played my wife, I am female to male in the movie, and she is a trans actress who is male to female. So Alexandria played my wife on that show, or the pilot, and all of my other stuff was with she and with Joseph Fiennes, who is one of the most lovely people I've ever met in this business, inside and out. The cast was incredible. The pilot didn't get picked up. It was Blythe Danner, Robert Wagner, Carrie Ann Moss, Joseph Fiennes. Yeah, Jonathan Groff was in it. The cast was incredible. Mike O'Malley was in it. It was just an incredible cast. And it didn't get picked up, so I had done that. And then a year from that, I believe they were doing the pilot around the same time as we did that one. And a year from that, I ran into Brad Falchuk at a grocery store, And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you. How's it going? And he said, we're just wrapping up the first season of Glee. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, shit, write me something. I love the show. And he goes, well, can you sing? And I said, oh, I'm no Mariah Carey, but I can carry a tune. And he goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, tell Ryan, come on. And I guess you put it out there, you get what you want. And sometimes, and 2 months from then, I got a call from Ryan Murphy's people saying, you know, what are your plans starting mid-July? And I said, hopefully working with you guys. And they had written me a character. And it was funny because it's like, you get to, when you work with somebody who's just so creative, and at that time it was Nip Tuck, and that was such an amazing show. And then doing Pretty Handsome, and then the Glee, and I'd seen part of the first season, and I was like, gosh, damn, I'd do anything they wanted me to. So when I signed my first contract with Glee, it was quotations. I didn't even have a name yet. And so I didn't care because I knew it would be good. And I love Coach Beiste. Love that character.
I love that you knew what you wanted. You wanted to be on that show and you got it.
It doesn't happen often, Pumpkin.
No, that's amazing.
No.
But I love those type of I want in stories. You know, it's like those relationships started to manifest and there you are.
Right. And plus I had felt good about my work that I did. And the Nip Tuck stuff wasn't huge stuff, but Pretty Handsome was so heavy and so just a heart-wrenching character. And they just loved it and what I did with it. And so to me, it said a lot about how they felt I worked. Do you know does that make sense?
Exactly.
So yeah, I was very lucky.
Well, we think that Glee was very lucky to have you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Your character, Glee, asked you in the very beginning if you can sing. So what was that experience like when you just started and all these cameras are rolling? What was that liberating experience to sing, or tell us?
The first song that I sang on there was the George Thorogood song, One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer, with Matthew Morrison. And we were playing like we were drunk at this country western bar, which it was this amazing country western bar that we filmed at. And I was scared to death because I had never sang on TV. I mean, you know, whatever, you sing in the shower, you sing in wherever you have good acoustics, like the car, and or really bad karaoke. But it's like, I always loved singing. I never in my life thought I would be singing on television. And so that one, I felt pressure, but not so much because it was with Matt and we had a blast. And then it was when and we didn't know when we were singing until we got the script. And I got the script and I'm like, what? I had to do Jolene. And that was my very first solo. And well, the only solo I did on the show, but still I was terrified. And I'm like, oh my God, please, Dolly Parton, don't be disappointed. And I heard she liked it, so I'm happy with that. So it was so much fun.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can. Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of golden hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And I could easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. Jolene, 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 please don't take him even though you can. Jolene.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We deep dive into, you know, it's just like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. The commitment is you're like all in or you're all out. And so everyone you got to be all in or it'll show. And so I had fun and everybody was so supportive and it was truly awesome. And then some of the other songs that I had duets and stuff and they were just like, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun to watch and such a big surprise that Coach Beiste all of a sudden burst into a song. It was like, wow, I didn't expect that.
Me neither. I didn't expect that either, but I'll take it.
You know, there's no other character on Glee who at one particular point in time didn't mix it up with the Cheerios coach, Sue Sylvester. And yours was kind of bullied by her, and you both kind of went toe-to-toe a lot. That said, pretty sure that in real life, working with Jane Lynch was hopefully really cool. And how was that really-
I have a good story. Working with Jane was like taking an acting class every day. I love that woman and I respect her to the end. But okay, so my first episode, right? They call us up to set and we're shooting this stuff in the teacher's lounge. And I get on the back of the golf cart and Jane gets on the back next to me. And so we're riding and we're both looking at our sides and our scripts and stuff. And so we're looking and I said something to her and she didn't answer me. And I'm like, oh God, please don't tell me it's gonna be like this. Cause I'd met Jane a few times at a couple birthday parties, I think before we even did this, like over the years, but never spent a lot of time with her. So we're on the golf cart and I said something and she didn't answer. And I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be like that. And then I said something else and she didn't answer again. And I'm like, dreading it. And she turns to me real quick and she goes, did you say something? And I said, yeah. And she goes, Dot, I am totally deaf in this ear. And I said, I thought you were just a bitch. And so it was so funny because I'm like, oh my God, Jane, I thought, oh my God, she's totally not gonna, she goes, I am so sorry. And so every time they had our chairs set up next to each other, she would change it so that she was on the good side. And so I was like, it was so funny. And she's amazing. She truly is amazing. Very kind, giving actress. I love her.
Were you improvising a lot during the scenes or you were following the script strictly?
No, we followed the script pretty much. I think some of my toughest stuff was I was eating rotisserie chickens nonstop on the show. And some of the stuff was like, oh shit, they wanted me to eat like really fast and I just wanted to throw up. So I didn't eat rotisserie chicken for a couple years after we were done. But so it was like trying, and one time we were doing this take and I'm trying to be all serious and I'm eating this chicken really fast and then I have to give these lines and I just spit chicken across the table and I was like, and you just die laughing because it's, and so you're trying to rope it in and get through it and each time I'd start laughing. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And then we get through it, but oh my God. That was my biggest challenge, was not spitting chicken on people. That's pretty sad.
What was the hardest part about filming Glee? Not spitting chicken on people.
Yeah, not yakking chicken bones on the table.
I wonder if everyone's like, wait, do we got to sing with Dot? Oh, man.
Everybody bibs up.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that was it was crazy. And then it got to where they'd have a bucket, like a trash can for me, so that at the end of that scene I could just spit it out. Because
the spit bucket, the old spit bucket.
I love that.
That was hilarious. There's a couple gifs or GIFs or whatever you call it, that you kids call them, those GIF.
Yeah.
And there's one of me just, plus I was 40 pounds heavier, so that's packing it. I've lost almost 50 pounds since the show's over.
Mine is chicken, you know.
Chicken and that devil craft service.
God, I imagine that the whole filming of Glee was like one big fun, you know.
Most of the time it was fun. It was long days. I mean, God bless those kids with the routines. And I know from when I did the Jolene, those are long days. Because you have to record it, you have to do the whole scene and choreograph it, how it's going. And then it's recording it. It was probably like a 16-hour day and over probably 2 days. Because like our shows, we were supposed to shoot in like 8 days. Some of them would take 3 weeks because of the choreography and the dancing and all the stuff that mostly the kids, what they had to do. Those kids worked their butts off.
So talented. My favorite song from Glee is the cover of Teenage Dream.
Oh, Darren?
Oh, I love Darren Criss so much.
He's adorable, that kid.
I love Darren Criss and Chris Colfer. Like when I saw the film Struck by Lightning and I found out he wrote it, I'm like,
oh wow.
Yeah. Yep.
They're so talented.
That kid, Chris, is incredible. Talented.
Hey, baby. Got us a couple of pies. Wine, your favorite. I'm sorry, Shannon. You know how sorry I am. This guy from Michigan has just been poaching every kid I took a sniff of, and everyone's on my ass, and if I'm being totally honest, I'm always feeling like I'm disappointing you. And it doesn't matter. You know why? Because I know I can't lose my cool anymore, and I won't. I promise. Oh, come on, baby, sit down. We're celebrating. You remember that Bearville lineman I told you I was hot on from Newton South? Got him to sign on the dotted line. Come on, baby. You've got my word. What? Are you gonna stab me?
No, with that one. It's fake. Maybe the big one in the kitchen. The one I've been sleeping with at night under my pillow.
God, baby, I'm so sorry. How did we let it get so out of hand?
I'm out. I got shame about what happened between us, but I leave that here with my ring and with you.
Please. Don't leave me, okay? You can't hate me any more than I already hate myself.
I don't hate you. That's the awful part of it. I love you. But what does that say about what I think of me?
What are you gonna do, huh? Just walk out on me? Who's gonna love you the way I loved you, Shannon? Who's gonna love you now?
Me.
You know, Beiste, from the very start, your character was just a very lovable, appealing character. And she went through a lot when she was Shannon. But then, of course, over the course of the season, Shannon made the decision to officially become Sheldon and become his true self. And
right.
Beautiful. And that's just one of the few examples of how, you know, the media is telling trans people's stories. And it's, you know, one of the first to portray it in such a beautiful way.
Right.
So, and it was on a primetime network series. So when it came for you to play this character and to bring that character to life and tell that story, and did you know that was going to be a twist in your character's storyline, or were you shocked when you found out?
To be honest, we never really knew anything what was coming until we got the script. And I got the script for the domestic abuse deal, the sequence of those episodes, and Ryan actually had called me and we had a phone meeting and he was like, are you okay with this? You know, and I'm like, absolutely, I'm okay with this. And I always say that regardless of who and what I play, I never want to disrespect anyone. And I never want, so I do my homework. And unfortunately, I have a few friends and family that have been through domestic violence. And it's amazing what goes through your mind when you're trying to protect somebody that you care about. And, you know, and it gets pretty grim and it's like what you're willing to do. And so when this character is like, I always say too, that be careful with words you choose because you don't know how you're going to affect somebody. And what your words will mean to somebody are huge. And I had women and men sending me emails saying, thank you so much for doing the domestic violence. I got out of an abusive relationship. And it's like, God, you watched a show and it makes me sad that it took that, but I'm thankful that they did do it and got out of a situation. And it's just, words are so important, and so some of the words we deliver can be so personal to somebody and you don't realize it until you hear it back to you, you know, from them. So yeah, it was so heavy, and oh my God, I cried so much. And yeah, and just watching just this last week, one of my favorite songs ever was when the girls sang Shake It Out. And I watched it this last week. I watched it a few times in the last couple of weeks because of Naya. But it's just, I bawled my eyes out just watching it.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive your darkest moments. I can see no way, I can see no way. And all of the ghouls come out to play. Every demon wants his pound of flesh, but I like to keep some things to myself. I like to keep my issues drawn. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I've been a fool and I've been blind. I can never leave the past behind. I can see no way, I can see no way. I'm always dragging that horse around. Our love is past just such a mournful sound. Tonight I'm gonna bury that horse in the ground. 'Cause I like to keep my issues strong. It's always darkest before the dawn. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him off. Oh, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back. And given half a chance, would I take any of it back? It's a fine romance, but it's left me so undone. It's always darkest before the dawn. Looking for heaven, found the devil in me. Looking for heaven, found the devil in me. But what the hell? I'm gonna let it happen to me. Yeah. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Oh, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him off. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out.
It's amazing that people, when they watch the show, can connect to your character so much that and then it has saved some lives. People watching you play that role, you know that you can say that you've saved some lives and that you've helped people get out of a bad situation. So, I mean, that's got to feel pretty gratifying to know.
It's overwhelming and it's gratifying all in one, because it's like I said, you never know what somebody's going through at home, and, you know, God bless them. And, you know, I don't even know what to say, because I love that we have those, shows that, Ryan, one of the things Ryan did, I believe Ryan wanted to cross and represent every demographic that he could. And he covered so much on that show. And I know a lot of kids were disappointed when Beiste was going to be transgender in the last episode or the last season. And I was a little disappointed too, because I'd always been like the big girl underdog. When I first read the script, I said, how can he do this to all the kids and da-da-da? And then I was like, oh my God, but what about the trans people that, want to be represented and seen, and to see themselves in something that, that they're loved. And I love everybody until you piss me off, but I love everybody. And it's, like I said, you don't know what someone's going through. And the transitioning episode was so heavy, because on the transitioning episode, there was a trans choir behind me. That was 200 real trans men and women. Every single person behind me was trans. And in this scene, I am like crying, but I am like legit crying.
There's a light in the darkness, though the night is black as my skin. There's a light burning bright, showing me the way. But I know where I've been. There's a cry in the distance. It's a voice that comes from deep within. There's a cry asking why. I pray the answers up ahead, 'cause I know where I've been. There's a road we've been traveling, lost so many on the way. The riches will be plenty, yeah. Worth the risk, if the chances tight. There's a dream in the future. There's a struggle that we have yet to win. Use that pride in our hearts to lift us up until tomorrow. 'Cause justice and steel would be our sin. Lord knows I know where I've been. When we win, I'll give thanks to my God, 'cause I know where I've
I'm going to cry now, because they would come up to me and say, I never thought I'd see myself on TV, or not literally physically see themselves, but someone to represent them, to support them, I cried the whole way driving home that night. I just remember thinking, oh my God, this is huge,
Well, Dad, just like you said, words are important. Representation is also important. And those characters that you represented I mean, you said it right there. You touched lives and people let you know about it. As actors, we're usually, in many cases,
like
representing in a way that people, we may not even realize. And it's wonderful when we have people letting us know that something that we portrayed or something that we said or just a character that we portrayed meant so much to them. So.
And Alex Newell, who I love him so much, who played Unique. Alex, he could sing a phone book and it would be beautiful. He was so good on the transitioning episode 2, and he made me cry and as Unique, and he's just so fabulous. And oh my God, it was so heavy, but in a sense rewarding. I just hope that the people, and like I said, I had some of the people that were in the choir coming up to me, the men and women, and they were like, you know, thank you so much. And I talked to some friends that were trans before I even did that, even though I had done that pilot a few years before, just because, like I said, I don't want to disrespect anybody, regardless of who I'm playing and what I'm doing. And I want to do it with the utmost respect for everybody. Because more often than not, is characters are downplayed or not done with the most integrity that they could have been.
Yeah, and also, you know, what's important, and it's about bringing the character to life on screen, and also how their reaction goes from the other characters. That's a very, very important, because it's not only for transgender people, it is important to see representation, but for their friends, for their relatives. You know, I'm lucky I have my family's closest friend is transgender, and she transitioned from a male to female, and struggling her entire life. She's been married and have kids, but she wasn't living in her own body. And then she transitioned, and she said, and she was in the military before that. And when she was transitioning, she said, I know I'm going to lose my family. I know I'm going to lose my friends. I know that, especially it was in Russia, back when I was living in Russia, of course. And she said, people will not understand me. What was absolute miracle, and it was so much joy when she finally transitioned, being totally ready to end up alone with just a couple of close friends. Everybody supported her. Everybody for her. All her military pals, they stayed in her life. They started like, wow, that's even better. Now, all these brothers, sister. And so, yeah. And I remember,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was so beautiful, and she didn't expect that. And it's like she wrote a book about that and became bestseller. But you know, so yeah, and it helped. You know, these stories, they help so many people to understand that, as it was in the documentary that we just watched on Netflix about transgender people. One father of a transgender person, he said, "My kid is a unicorn. I am lucky to have a unicorn in my family." And that's the way to look at this and at the people who are transgender. And
wow. If only every parent would say that, right?
Right, exactly.
Or every narrow-minded fool out there would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have friends that are trans that I didn't even know until they told me. And it never changed how I saw them. It just was like, oh, that's just another beautiful, unique part of yourself. That's not, it doesn't, you know, it's part of who you are. And I think it's beautiful when in film we can represent people living truthfully as themselves, living as who they are. And your character is a perfect example. And I'm sure it's inspired so many kids who felt like they were alone in that. So actually, even adults who feel like they're alone in that, they could then see that there is someone out there in the media who is what they see themselves as. So
right. And I still, it's amazing. The Glee followers the fans are unbelievable, and I thank them all the time, because if it weren't for fans, none of us would have jobs. Right. And they're incredible, and they're so still connected to that show, and they are watching that show still nonstop. And you know, and the good thing about it is there's so many lessons on that show about acceptance and about, you know, just living, like you were saying about your friends, Sasha, about living your true authentic self and being able to do that. And you get to a point where it's like, you know, just be who you are, and don't, it's hard because every one of us fears rejection, but you've got to be true to yourself. And just, if you're not happy, no one else around you is going to be happy. You can't make somebody else happy, and you're miserable and fighting all these emotions that are like a roller coaster within yourself, a tidal wave. And it's just how it should be. You know what I mean? Everybody should accept. And I hate the word accept, because who the hell is anybody to have to accept me?
Right.
You know, it's like, we're all people, and to me, we're all the same, but it's all the fools that are narrow-minded that put labels and stigmatisms on certain things. And it's ridiculous. Because like I said, I love everybody, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and I thank God every day I was raised that way.
Such a good film.
We met, Rachelle, you and I met at a screening of something. I can't remember what it was.
Actually, so it was at the Artemis Film Festival, and I had a film screening called Woodstock or Bust. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you go see it?
It was the same time as mine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Combat Nuns or it was a different film that I had done.
I love the name of that, though, Combat Nuns.
Yeah, a crime-fighting nun who I rode up to the Artemis Awards that night on a motorcycle in my nun habit.
Oh my gosh!
It was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, that was a cool film festival, and getting to meet you, you know, just like walking in and there you are. And I was walking in with a friend who was a mega Glee fan.
Oh
my gosh. And he was like trying to maintain his cool.
Oh, you guys were so cute and so sweet. And it's crazy because Rico, you guys, she resembles my niece, Rachelle. I actually have a niece, Rachelle. And when I met you and you said your name's Rachelle, and I was like, what? And my niece, Rachelle, is, you guys could be sisters. You look more like her sister than her sister.
Oh, in the
like a Rachelle squared picture, like.
And and she spells it the same and everything.
Oh my gosh, that is.
She's a little bit older. I think Rachelle is in her 30s, I believe.
Oh, that's so cool, though.
So we know who to cast in the Dot Marie Jones life story.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
Directed by Ryan Murphy, hopefully. That'd be cool.
That would be amazing.
I love that.
Dot Marie Jones of Glee, Lizzie McGuire, Material Girls, and Married with Children is with us today. Dot, you've been in so many TV and film projects, including, of course, the ones that are mentioned above. But which ones besides, of course, Glee stand out for you as one of your more favorite ones?
One of the things that I did that it was a wild week, but it was amazing, is I did a guest star on Roseanne where I played a big-time wrestler. And my scenes were mostly with Laurie Metcalf, who ends up getting in the wrestling ring with me and a couple other girls. And I had her, here I have Laurie Metcalf across my shoulders and I'm spinning her around and I slam her down and all this stuff. And it was so much fun. And we had known each other because when I first did Knights and Warriors back in 91, 92, our stage was right across from Roseanne. And our dressing rooms were on Roseanne's building, where outside of our dressing room was a trailer, and it was Sandra Bernhardt's dressing room. And so Sandra was one of my first good friends, and we are still good friends back in 91.
Wow.
And when she played on Roseanne, she played Nancy in the diner. But I think one of the funnest things I'd gotten to do is a couple weeks after I did the guest star on the show as the wrestler, they liked my work and they liked what I did. And Marcy Carsey from Carsey Warner called me herself and said, you know, thank you so much for your work last week or a couple weeks ago and stuff. And I said, oh my God, of course. And she said, I have a question for you. She said, Roseanne wants to know if you think that, do you ever choreograph? And I said, well, I do all my own stunts. So I'm always in on the choreograph to make sure I'm safe. And of course, I always make sure someone else is safe. They said, do you think you'd be able to choreograph a small fight in the backyard of the Connors house and stuff? And I'm like, sure. And I said, wait, who is it with? And I got to choreograph a fight between Debbie Reynolds and Roseanne.
Oh, wow.
It was one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to do in my life, to have Debbie Reynolds kick my ass for 4 days before Roseanne shot it. And she goes, oh, what if I pull the shovel back? And she had a real shovel at that time that they had back there just from props. And she missed my nose by like that much. And I said, hey, do you think we could get a rubber shovel? Because God, the last thing I want is her swinging that back and taking Roseanne out. And that would look bad. And so we did it. And I never laughed so hard in my life because Debbie Reynolds, God rest her soul, was amazing. And this was like back in 97, and I hadn't been doing it this long. And it was one of the most fun things ever. And that, and of course, working with Joseph Fiennes, and of course, Glee. God, I have so many favorites. And I think working with Debbie Reynolds and her being such an icon and just so there 100% and would do anything. And so funny. And, you know, she whooped my butt for 4 days. What if we do this? What if we do this? And I'm like, okay, what if we do this? And, you know, and so that was truly amazing. And I did a Curb Your Enthusiasm. They shot me, and then they shot a smaller woman, and they ended up using her. But I got to meet Mel Brooks and hang out with Mel Brooks for a couple of days. And every time that man walked by me, he had to kiss me. He goes, I love big girls. And he grabbed me and kissed me. And then one day I was walking to my trailer, and it was next to his, and he's sitting on his steps with his shirt off. And I said, hey, Mr. Brooks, Mr. Brooks, it's Mel. I'm trying to get some sun. Get over here. So I go over there, and he grabs me and kisses me. And I love him so much. And to think, and it seems surreal that I actually, you know, got to meet him, and it was crazy, but so nice, so nice. There's very few people that I wouldn't want to work with again, but there's about a handful that I'd say no, thank you.
I have two chapter titles for your tell-all book. So one is Kissed by Mel Brooks, and I think the second one is Got My Ass Beat by Debbie Reynolds. I don't know.
Debbie Reynolds whooped my ass.
There you go.
Yeah.
With Lori Metcalf too. I mean, that's.
I know.
Right.
That episode of Roseanne is called Roseannefeld. Like Seinfeld, but it's called Roseannefeld. So if you guys ever see that episode, Aaron, you got to watch it. It's amazing.
Oh, we will.
I'm crazy. That was a lot of fun.
And you've gotten to work with Hilary Duff twice, and on both shows, they were successful, and it really brought up success for you as an actor. Was that a coincidence that you worked with her twice? And also, did you have—
Which one are you talking about?
Material Girls and also Lizzie McGuire.
You know what? Before Lizzie McGuire and Material Girls, because that was later, 2 weeks before they asked me if I would do this pilot for Disney, it was just, they gave me it and asked me if it was supposed to be a nothing role, and I ended up doing it, and then 5 more episodes, or 5 episodes total. I did a guest lead on Chicago Hope, where again, I played this crazy, on steroids, big time wrestler, and I had to be mean to this little girl who was having brain surgery, and it was Hilary. And so I saw the script when I got to work, because I didn't get the script before that, because God, that was 2000, something like that. So I go to work, and I'm like, Hilary Duff. I said, oh my God, you got to be kidding. So I go over and I beat on your door, and she answers the door with her mom, and I said, do I have to be mean to you every week? And she goes, oh my God, oh my God. So we had so much fun. She's a good kid. She and Haley both. I love those kids, and their mama Susan and their dad are just good people.
Oh, I love that.
Well, you know, you can tell how good a kid is when they're not in the media every 5 minutes for screwing up. I mean, we've all had our screw ups, but it just to what level you walk that plank.
You've spent your childhood and your youth really succeeding as an athlete, and probably nobody would ever guess that you will eventually choose acting instead. How did your athletic path start, and what was that moment like when you realized that you want to choose acting over sports?
Oh God, I didn't really choose acting over sports. I'm the youngest of 6, and all my brothers and sisters were athletes. And so it wasn't really a choice. I grew up on a dairy farm. So my dad passed when I was 10. So I grew up milking cows before I went to school. And when I got home from school with my sister, Carolyn, and like throwing bales of hay, I mean, we had to feed the cows and the other animals that we had. So I was always strong. And so I was, God, I think I was in 7th grade, and I was getting up in the morning and my back was just killing me. So it got to be where it was so bad that I would have to straighten myself up in the doorway and I would be crying. And then I'd stand in the shower so the hot water would heat up my back, and I was growing. I went from, in 7th, by the time I got to 8th, I went from 5'6" to 6'1" in like a span of 6 months. I grew 7 inches in 6 months. So in junior high, I started lifting weights to get my lower back stronger, and plus doing everything at that ranch that we had to do. And then the coach who had my other sisters were like, oh, you're going to play sports, right? And I'm like, of course. And so I did volleyball, basketball, and track all 4 years of high school. And then I really succeeded in track and field was my favorite. And I had offers to play basketball at other colleges and do both sports at other colleges, and I was just tired of running. So I liked the strength part of shot put and discus, which was my main one was shot put. So I just trained for that. And then from high school, I went to junior college, and then from junior college, I got a full ride to Fresno State to finish out my track and field career. But back when I was 19, yeah, I was in junior college, and a friend of mine and I went to this little fall festival up in Northern California, and they had an arm wrestling tournament. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, oh, you should do it. You should do it. And at that time, I didn't know you won money. They had trophies that were beautiful trophies, like 3-4 foot tall. And I'm like, oh my God, those trophies are beautiful. And I entered it, and I ended up winning. And one of the women that I beat was a middleweight world champion. And she was like, okay, you got to come to Petaluma, because up in Petaluma is where the world championships used to be held. And I had seen it on Wide World of Sports. And it was like a month or 2 later. So I found out all the information. I went up there, and I didn't know how to train. I just had been training for strength. And it was so cool because Wide World of Sports was there, and Lynn Swan and Diana Nyad, the swimmer, were there. And I, of course, knew who Lynn Swan was because I love football. And so to meet him, and I still have his autograph, and it was so amazing. And so I won my first world title at 19. And so in the women's heavyweights. And so I continued to do sports. But back to that fall festival, I won $250. And to be an Okie kid from the country who $250 was a lot of money. And it was just like, oh my God. And I said, you can make money. And she's like, yeah, there's more money up in Petaluma. The most I ever won for a world title was like $5,000. It's not like it was 5 million. I wish. But I competed arm wrestling until I won several years in a row. I won 15 world titles. And one of them was in Russia.
Oh,
at the Gold Bear Circus in Moscow.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What
So
year was that?
91. It was really scary though. It was right 2 weeks after the big coup. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of military around, and one of our translators Michael, I'll never forget, Michael. He was so sweet, and he was taken from us one night. They came in and just snatched him because he hadn't reported for the military.
Oh my gosh.
And it was so scary because, I mean, that was 91. So, you know, it was really crazy and sad and scary, but what a beautiful country. So I got to go there, and I won over in Russia. And then I retired after I won my 15th world title. I did the Tonight Show with Jay Leno and Kevin Eubanks.
Oh my God.
And I beat them both arm wrestling. And of course, Kevin was so bummed because Kevin was ripped. And so I love him so much. But, and so I retired. And so that was like, I think 97. And so I went back in 03 because I missed the competitive part so much that I went back in 3 and won the Pro-Ams up in Reno, Nevada in 93. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm done. Because my shoulders were terrible from years of lifting weights and arm wrestling and throwing the shot put and stuff. And arm wrestling, I used to do both left and right. And then I did all that. And then, okay, so let me focus because I'm old. And so anyway, so I'm doing arm wrestling, I'm doing track and field. And then I also did competitive deadlifting exhibitions because I was really strong at deadlifting at 19. If it had been a sanctioned meet, I'd have had a world record. But I deadlifted at 19, and I was probably 250 pounds. I deadlifted 518.
Oh my God.
That's so cool.
So when I would do these weightlifting, deadlifting exhibitions, I'd go to like bodybuilding shows. And in between the bodybuilders doing their stuff, I'd go out and do this. So I met this one woman, Shirley Eason, who I'll never forget as long as I live because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Shirley. And her husband, she was a bodybuilder. Shirley became Sky on American Gladiators. And so she was one of the bodybuilders on American Gladiators. Shirley called me and said, Dot, they're auditioning for a new show called Knights and Warriors. It's like a medieval version of American Gladiators, and gave me all the information. She said, you got to audition. And so I thought, what the hell? I had nothing to lose. So I had been out of college for a while, and I majored in criminology, and I was working juvenile probation for 4.5 years. And at this point, and still competing, doing the other stuff. And so I came down to LA, I auditioned, and then the first day was all physical agility. So I'm like, okay, I got this. And for my size, I was pretty fast. And then they said, this is how green I was at acting, you guys. I swear to God, this is the truth. So they said, well, we'll call you tonight by 8 o'clock for you to come back tomorrow to do a cold read. And I'm like, what the hell's a cold read? I'm like, okay, we're warriors. So maybe it's like, do I have to read in like a freezer? I'm thinking I'm going to be cold, like physically cold. And so they 8 o'clock came, they didn't call. And I said, oh, well, I had a blast today and met some really cool people. So the next day, 8:30 comes, they call me and they said, we want you to come back tomorrow for a cold read. So I'm like, okay. And then I didn't want to sound like a total idiot that I didn't have any clue as to what I was doing. I said, so what would I wear to like this cold read? And they said, just wear your best warrior outfit. And I'm like, I just drove down from working probation. Like, okay. So I made this makeshift out of workout pants that were zebra striped, a red tank top, and then I got a gray sweatshirt and cut it all up, made a headband, made bands around my biceps. And then I went in, I'm like, well, I'll figure it out as I go. And so I go in and they say, the sides are on the table. And I'm like, what are sides? And I'm just like, oh, okay, I got it. So I go over and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, these got to be the sides. And so I'm reading this. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And so I did the scene, I read it and memorized as best I could. And then they had me improv, and I just went crazy on the improv with this woman who I was improvising with. And so 2 weeks later, they said, okay, we'll let you know. And so 2 weeks later, I got a call that I got one of the 4 women's spots out of like almost 400 people.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how I'm in LA.
Wow. That's wild.
I know.
Now that's a journey. That is
I know.
a journey.
I'm sorry I was all over the place, but everything happened all over the place.
No, I mean, that's such a great journey. It shows your love of just sports as a whole and your curiosity in terms of getting into other parts of sports. And that's going to be a great chapter in the tell-all. Because
the documentary.
Yeah.
I always said if I did a documentary, Rico, I'd say it would be called Growing Up Strong.
I love it.
That's
so beautiful.
Petition to have this film made.
What, honey?
Petition to have this film made. I want to see it.
Okay, I know, right? I know. I got to write it. Bridget keeps saying that you got to write it. You got to write it.
Gotta write it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned earlier that at one point you were asked if you could sing. And I'm assuming that at one particular point, even that level of confidence and commitment just really raised to a high level, because you ended up at one point singing the national anthem with the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. And I mean, the honor of singing the national anthem alone is probably just like, whoa! I mean,
that one was, you know what? I got to tell you, I was live. They were recorded. And I felt like the whole time, because of the echo comeback, that I felt like I was singing the whole time, like speed singing, trying to catch up to the Gay Men's Chorus. And they are incredible. And I would go to practices with them, and I was like, this is not even real. But that was amazing. That was truly one of the most amazing things I've gotten to do.
Besides being an actress, as an athlete, you are also a wife and a mother. And are your kids proud of everything you do, of all of your characters? And is your family more of your fan club, or rather more of your coaches?
I'm very blessed. I have 3 stepdaughters that I love like I had them. Bridget and I have been together almost 10 years. And so Savannah's, who I call Red because she got red hair, and she calls me Curls. And Red is probably my biggest critic, because I got her when she was 10 and she's 20 now. And so she used to make me laugh, because when I started doing Glee and stuff, she's like, all you do is cry. So I'm like, that's the character. She goes, oh, what, are you going to cry? And so she gave me such a hard time, but in a good way. But I mean, I know they're proud of what I've done and what I do, and we've gotten to do some really cool things because of what we do as actors, and gotten to go places. And when I was nominated, and she loved it, because we would go to the gifting lounges, which was really fun, and they'd spoil her, and you know, and it was amazing. And I'm very grateful for everything that we've gotten to do. And also too, we got to go to the Kids' Choice Awards, and yeah, and so the girls love that. Gotten to do some incredible things because of what we get to do. And every day I say it, we get to do this, because there's 5 million women that would take my spot in 5 seconds, and any one of us. And the fact that, you know, we're chosen, and we, you know, nothing's a gimme, especially in this business. And it's honestly a gift. I am so grateful every single day that I get to do this. My life has been crazy, and I've done some amazing things, and I try to live with no regrets. I think they're very happy. I know Bridget's the best. She'll run lines with me, do my, you know, when we have to do our self-taping stuff. And if you look at, oh my God, my Instagram, or her Instagram, it's like, you should see this makeshift thing I made it with coat hangers and duct tape to hold the camera, so that she could read the lines and record me while I'm doing a self-tape. And it's hilarious. And we have fun, and we're appreciative for everything. And just, I can't wait to get back to work, because it's been a rough couple of years for us. So yeah, so this year really knocked the wind out of us. I had a heart attack in January. By the grace of God, I got to the doctor in time and they did surgery and did a stent. I didn't have to have open heart surgery, thank God, but it was the LAD, which is the widowmaker, and 10 out of a couple thousand will make it, and I got lucky and was one of them. After being misdiagnosed for 3 weeks with adult onset asthma, which I've never had, nor do I have, I was in the middle of trying to have a heart attack. I just thank God Bridget made me go to the doctor, because she was a cardiology nurse in Georgia before she moved out here. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky, and I'm blessed, and I thank God every single day that I wake up.
I'm grateful that you made it there on time and that you survived.
Yeah, it was crazy. We went to the cardiologist, and he walked in, and first thing Bridget said was, "Would you put her in the hospital?" And he's like, "What's going on?" And I told him all my symptoms, and women have different symptoms. I kept having across my chest, right across here, I'd walk like 50 feet and it felt like, you know, when you walk into snow and you breathe in that freezing cold, how it freezes your lungs. Excuse me. That's what it felt like. So I'd walk like 50 feet and my chest would just burn. I'm like, gosh, dang. So I'd stop and then it'd go away in like a minute or two. I'd walk and same thing. So I went to 3 weeks. I went to the doctor 4 times. And Bridget and I traveled to Vegas, and we traveled to New York for my birthday, and we came home. The day before the 8th, January 8th, I'd gone to the doctor, and they had prescribed, yep, you have adult onset asthma. And it was a woman doctor. And not even with my family history thought to do an EKG or anything. And so the doctor set up an appointment for the next morning, the 9th, to go to the doctor. So we went to the doctor. But the day before, this one doctor had prescribed an even stronger inhaler, which inhalers, all they do is make your heart race. And it would have killed me. But I thank God I had help that day because the pharmacy was out of that inhaler. And so the next day I went to Dr. Wynn, who was our cardiologist, and he put me in the hospital that night and was set to do a catheter or the cath lab deal, an angio the next morning. But when I got to the hospital, they started doing all this blood work and they check your Petronins, and Petronins were 0.14, and in 3 hours they were 4. And so I was in the middle of having an actual heart attack. So they took me right then to the cath lab, and I was out in like 45 minutes and I was awake during the whole thing, and it was ridiculously crazy. And I'm just forever grateful for Bridget and for Dr. Wynn. And you know what I mean? You don't get many chances.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the start of our yeyear.
Oh my God. 2020 for you, right?
And it's been a shithole since.
You were here.
Yeah, thank goodness you're here. And
there's a reason.
Yes, there is a reason. And
I ain't done yet, darling.
Here to tell the tales.
That's right. That's right. And I got a lot more to tell you.
Now it's time for the lightning round, where we ask our guests some very tough questions. Here we go.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Now, first question is, do you have a habit of singing in the shower? And if yes, what is the last song you sang while you were there?
Okay, you know what my go-to song is in the shower?
What?
National Anthem.
Oh, okay. Now,
Well, try it. Next time you're in the shower, the acoustics are ridiculous.
Oh, I love it.
Was this before you sang?
For years, it's been that.
Okay, so it's always been
so you got some practice there.
It is so cool.
I don't know, because I'm the only one who hears it other than Bridget and the kids. I'm sure they shut the doors.
What is your favorite tradition that you have in your family?
Watching Christmas Vacation on Thanksgiving with Chevy Chase.
Oh, that's a beautiful tradition.
My favorite comedy.
That is
I love that.
What are recently your favorite shows, and what are you currently watching?
One of my favorite shows, and it comes from competition, is Alone on, I believe it's on Discovery or History Channel. I love that show where they take them out and drop them off, and they give you the camera. So there's no one out there filming you. Oh, you do it all. And just, loved that show. And what else? Oh my gosh! Right now we're watching the Dodger baseball. Whoop, whoop. And oh my gosh, I grew up in the country, so I love fishing and I love all that stuff. So watching Wicked Tuna and stuff like that, I love River Monsters. I want to be on it. And just, you know what? There's a lot of shows that I love. I love the Goldbergs, and I'm very happy I got to do it this last season. I love Wendy McCovey. She's the reason I got to do the show, and I'm very grateful for her. Shoot, what else? God, I haven't watched. What's that?
That's it. That was a lot.
I know, right?
Now I'm wondering, you mentioned being on Alone, and it made me think of the show Naked and Afraid. Would you ever compete on Naked and Afraid?
Honey, they don't have enough money because I'd charge them by the pound. Ain't nobody got that much money.
How can people find you on social media?
I'm not on Twitter a whole bunch, but it's .Jones or .Marie Jones, and then on Instagram it's .Marie Jones. Facebook I'm hardly ever on, and that one's just .Jones.
3-time Emmy nominee Marie Jones of Glee, Lizzie McGuire, Material Girls, Married with Children, and who knows, possibly River Monsters and Naked and Afraid was with us today. Dot, thank you for spending time with us this afternoon for such a great, fun, very inspirational conversation.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.
I love you. Say it a lot.
Yes.
This was the Lightning Hour. I am Rico E Anderson.
I'm Rachelle Henry.
And I'm Sasha Kerbel.
Don't forget to support us by giving this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on that little bell sign so you'll get notifications when we post new shows.
Follow us on social media to learn more about the Lightning Hour and us, your 3 hosts. You can find the links and more information about our guests in the description below.
Feel free to post your questions for us in the comment section, as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will be answering them in future episodes. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next Friday, same time, same place. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can. Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of golden hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene.